Hey guys, Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films back again with Doctor Who Classic. Last time around, we had the Pirate Planet. What was that one about?
Well, despite the fact that we thought it might go back to, what was it, the something pirates?
Space Pirates,
Space
maybe?
Pirates, yeah. It had nothing to do with them. Turns out there is this gigantic hollow planet which has figured out, like the TARDIS, how to jump through space, and I'm assuming time, and they surround a planet and then mine it for all it's worth until it totally collapses, and then they move on. And apparently they were going to go to the Earth, but the last planet that they had done this to turns out to be one of the pieces of the Key of Time, and that's essentially the overall story. Most of the details, of course, even though we only recorded a couple of days ago, I've totally forgotten.
Yeah, we're recording this rather early, so but that's for various reasons, of which basically any normal time that we would record, either he's doing something or I'm doing something. So
we're very busy.
Yeah, so I haven't even finished recording last week's videos, and I'm already recording the next week with this episode. So yeah. But there was a whole thing last episode with this ancient queen who kept herself alive and these time dams, and she needed the power to make sure that she could stay alive forever, but it wasn't going to work, and this and that. There was a bunch of compressed planets and such, and that's how they ended up getting Calufrax as one of the pieces of the Key of Time. I don't know how they did that, because I thought they said that it was physically impossible to move a compressed planet, because it's still a planet, you know? This isn't like Ant-Man, where, Hank Pym can miniaturize a tank and it's fine, you know? So, but yeah. But I guess then it is like that, because then they went and got that planet off screen, I think. They said they were going to, so I just assumed they did it off screen. So yeah.
And I'm enjoying the interaction between Romana and the Doctor and K9. It's actually turning out to be a little bit better than... Leela was good, but she was a kind of a single-minded type of character. Literally started 5 or 6 different revolutions on different planets.
Yeah.
Whereas Romana is, again, more of an intellectual and less of the, fighting type. And that's kind of a nice change for a while.
Yeah, so... I think also somebody said that this story that we are on now, The Stones of Blood, is the 100th story of Doctor Who. So that is, I suppose that is a milestone right there. That's 100 stories. 100 of these, and because we've had to do multiple videos for some of these stories, we've had a lot of videos. Certainly over 100. I think we're close to 200 or so videos for this series so far. And, yeah. And we still have... 3 more Doctors to go through in classic Doctor Who?
And we're only just barely over halfway through Tom Baker, aren't we?
I think we're over halfway through. Yeah. At the very least, the last season is season 26. This is season 16. So after this, we'll have 10 more. Yeah. So, and I actually heard someone else say that after this season, there are no more 6-parters. And it's just 4s from here on out. With the occasional 2 and the occasional 3. So that'll be pretty interesting.
Now, did you tell everybody about your new sonic screwdriver?
I might have.
I don't remember.
I don't know. I may have just said it in passing. But yes, we do now have the 4th Doctor's sonic screwdriver, which is just a less colorful version of the 3rd Doctor's, I'm going to be honest, Otherwise, they're exactly identical. And see, the good thing is that you're already here in these videos, so you understand. But this looks like the kind of thing, like, kids back in the 80s when it's like, oh, we have the Nintendo. Well, the Super Nintendo comes out, and parents are like, well, what's wrong with the Nintendo you already have? It's like, well, this one is Super. And it's like, that's what this feels like. It's like, well, you already have a sonic screwdriver. It's like, yeah, but this one is a bit more bland. And the little nodule at the end is different. So.
Do they make the same noises? Oh, so the new one makes new noises.
Yeah, which I believe is on this one, which is the War Doctors. Yeah, so these have the same. Fun fact, actually, about the War Doctors, John Hurt's sonic screwdriver, is the way they made it is they literally took a Fourth Doctor sonic screwdriver toy, lobbed the end off of it, and put a light in. So this is like the most screen accurate sonic screwdriver you can get, because it's just this with the piece lobbed off and a little cap at the end. So
capitalism.
Yeah. So I gotta try to put these back, and I think I had this like this, so the little weird nodule at the end showed up, and then I got the there. All right, so that's my review of the classic sonic screwdrivers. I don't remember. I want to say the Fifth Doctor had one, but I don't remember, and I think they start getting weirder later. And then eventually, if I recall correctly, the Eighth Doctor in the movie, he just had one that looked exactly the same as the Fourth Doctor. So I don't know how many more I'm going to be getting. So, and of course, eventually, whenever they make a toy for the new Doctor, Shudigakwa, the 14th Doctor's sonic screwdriver, I say that with intensity, because if you know, you know. If you don't, well, you'll find out someday. But I
don't know.
Yeah, it's a whole thing that basically is going to result in either I'm going to have the last laugh or I'm going to look like a complete clown. And I'll have to find out in November. But anyway, whenever they make one for him, 3 years from now, when they finally get around to giving him episodes, I'll get one of those too. So, assuming we're all like still here in like a couple years, like that's I mean, I don't want to say anything, but the channel might be going through a couple changes. I'm going to try some things, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know how consistent Doctor Who videos are going to be, but maybe they'll be the one consistent. Speaking of the one consistent, we still have this episode to go through.
Let's do it.
So let's just go ahead and get into the Stones of Blood. Here we go.
Here, let me do it.
What?
I used to be rather good at puzzles.
Puzzles? You don't call that a puzzle, do you?
Well, hardly complex enough to be called a puzzle, is
Well,
it?
it certainly isn't.
Look, shouldn't we be getting on? We've only got 2 segments. Why don't you go and find out where our next destination is?
Right.
See, I'm telling you, it's exactly like the Millennium Puzzle.
Romana, I've just decided to go and find out where our next destination is.
Oh.
Always has to be his idea.
Old Stonehenge, hanging stones. I don't know if that's actually supposed to be the Stonehenge. It's too small, I think. I was going to say, that moon looked like it was over the moors somewhere.
Maybe this is the Stonehenge in Japan.
Well, how do I look?
Ravishing.
That's not what I meant. I mean, will this do?
Oh, yes, very nicely, I should think, except for those shoes.
Oh. I rather like them.
Well, you please yourself. I'm no fashion expert.
No.
I mean, you should realize you've been running a lot.
Beware the Black.
What about these?
Beware the Black Guardian.
What? Doctor, what does it mean?
It's a warning. And a reminder.
Because we haven't had the Black Guardian in 2 episodes. We have to remind the audience.
Professor Emilia Rumford, author of Bronze Age burials in Gloucestershire.
Oh, the definitive work on the subject.
Oh, you're too kind, Doctor. Of course, perfectly right. That straight?
Yes.
Jolly good. What does that make it? 28.9 meters?
Uh-huh.
Well, I must say, it's nice to be back in a field on Earth. Which I never thought I would say about Doctor Who.
But this, I would say, is probably somewhere off in the west.
It looks evil.
Harbinger.
Should have brought K9.
Roasting marshmallows.
No.
Fondue. Kaliak sounds like something from the Celtic languages.
Wayne Manor.
Stately Wayne Manor.
There you go.
Our friend's impatient. Don't let's keep him waiting.
weird way of saying that.
Anybody home? And nobody home except us druids.
Funny. He doesn't look Druish. Close to the coast? That seems very unusual. I'm still thinking this is Devon or Cornwall, somewhere down there.
Doctor?
Maybe even as far north as Wales.
Where are you?
Romana!
Doctor! What's the matter? No, no!
Alright then.
Now, before we start, just wanted to let everybody know, I have just, over the past 6 months or so, finished a series of books called The Iron Druid Chronicles by Kevin Hearn, if you're at all interested. Fascinating story of a modern-day druid, the last of the druids, basically. And he basically accidentally starts a whole series of events that ends up in Ragnarok, the end time. So if you're at all interested in learning about druidry, again, from whatever you're seeing here, it's just a fascinating group of stories. So sorry, just wanted to get that out of the way.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting setup, definitely.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's leaning a bit more into the Key of Time plot. But I mean, we'll see how it goes over the next 3 episodes. But yeah, it honestly, it does feel nice. Like, I don't know when the last time was we were on Earth, you know? Like, I feel like we've gone to so many different other planets that now, even though it's exactly the thing that I said I didn't like back in the day of, we're just in some mansion in the middle of England, you know, there's nothing to do. But now it's like, okay, we can relax, you know, touch some grass, and it's all right.
Palate cleanser.
Yeah.
A refreshing taste and aroma.
I mean, it's basically the same thing of when we had too many episodes like this, and then we went to outer space. I was like, oh, finally, we're back in outer space, you know? So there's never like a good balance between them. Yeah. So, and this definitely reminds me of, I never remember what it was called, but it was the episode with the Master where he was like leading this cult.
Was that the demons?
Yes, that was it. Yeah, so it kind of reminds me of that a little bit, just with, especially with like the mound that they had that they were excavating at midnight and stuff. So yeah, interesting stuff so far.
A little slow paced, but and again. You want a mystery not to be too fast paced because you want to be able to catch all the clues and everything, but it was almost plodding. So hopefully the next 3 we'll see a little bit more, you know, adventure and action.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's a good story. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. Now I know it was only like one of the pictures that wasn't there that was named. The person's name was Morgana. Is it just me, or do you never trust anybody whose name is Morgana? So, I mean, I know because it's because of the classic Morgana.
Yeah.
So,
but again, that would put it in the Land's End area because Tintagel, which was supposedly the location of Camelot, that area in there is where Morgan Le Fay would have come from. So.
Yeah. So if your name is, if you're watching this and your name is Morgana, it's nothing against you. I'm sure you're a lovely person. It's just about that. I mean, I recently I started playing Persona 5, and one of the characters, this nice little cat, is named Morgana, and I just kind of keep looking at it like, I don't know, your name is Morgana, I don't fully trust you, but then it's, at least so far in playing the game, it seems to be fine. So,
but yes, that is guilt by association. I knew a young actress when I was in college whose name was Morgan, wonderful lady, and I'm still occasionally talk to her on Facebook. So, yes, not everybody named Morgan or Morgana is a bad person. Yeah. But yes, if you're called Morgana, there's probably a reason for that.
Just cut that last letter off, and Morgan's a nice name. It's fine.
Well, it's like, when we went to adopt our beagle, who we've had for a little over 5 years now, at the shelter, since he was a drop-off, or I guess they found him, they have to give him a name. When we went to pick him up, they had called him Scoundrel. Now, we, of course, renamed him Darby, which is a good, nice Celtic name. But there's a reason why they called him Scoundrel, because that's what he is.
Yeah.
He has a very scoundrel personality. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, and that's just the thing with some names. It's just that it just takes like one bad egg to ruin a name, you know? Like, I feel bad for anybody who legitimately wants to name their child Adolf, but it's just like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You know? So, isn't that the same thing in Germany? Like, was it Angela Merkel she could take the title of Führer, because it's just a title in Germany.
Yeah, it's leader.
Yeah.
Which means leader, yeah.
But just don't. Just none of the German leaders are like, we're not going to do that. That doesn't work. So, but that's also the same in one of the shows I'm watching, Full Metal Alchemist. One of the main characters his title is the Führer, and so originally you're kind of looking at it as like, oh, so it's the Führer. Well, that's not really a great title, because of our context. And then as you go on, you're like, oh, wait, this guy is actually evil. Wait a minute. No wonder he has that title.
And by the way, I know you're a history major, but you didn't study modern European history. In Germany, her first name was actually pronounced Angela, with a hard G instead of the soft G that we use here in the United States. So, Angela sounds like a nice person. Angela sounds like somebody who's all muscles and tweed suits and getting stuff done.
Yeah, so that's just our Americanisms just piercing through there. So, all
right.
Don't ask us how to say aluminum, even though I just said it. Part 2.
He does that on purpose.
It's true. Well, they didn't actually show her fall again.
Leonard, I don't like this.
It is the will of the Kelliach.
It's murder.
We cannot question the will of the goddess.
Leonard, think what you're doing.
The Kelliach demands blood.
She's never demanded a human sacrifice before.
I dare not oppose her will. I dare not.
Well, that's the ironic thing. He's not human.
She will.
Tom looks like he could use a shave. Oh, it's just a shadow. So.
I hope that knife's been properly sterilized.
Blasphemer!
No. You can catch all sorts of things off a dirty knife. Lockjaw, tetanus, not to mention staphylococcus.
I'm not going to be
not
a
to mention
party
you can
to
catch a
this.
duck.
Good for you. Get over here!
Hang on! I'm coming!
Fast as the wind. Oh, yes, the most terrifying sound.
You ever wonder if he throws his scarf over the shoulder and gets caught in a tree like that and jerks him down?
I'm not programmed to bark, Master.
Yes, but listen, never mind about that. I've got a job for you. Now, you've always wanted to be a bloodhound.
Negative, Master.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have.
Negative.
Looked exactly like me.
The image of you. Doctor. The third segment.
Yes.
The power to transform objects, or at least their appearance.
Yes.
Somebody's got it, and they've found a way of utilizing its powers.
Right.
Well, so what do we do?
Get you a decent pair of shoes. Try to trace her again.
Her boots still have heels on them. That wouldn't be a great idea.
Back to the cottage. I got lots of research to show you. Hop on the back.
Do you mind if I just walked?
Oh, nonsense. You may find it rather hard. It'll be a new experience for you. No need to be afraid.
Oh, she's evil.
It's the bird.
Master?
Oh, it's the stone.
The missing stone, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I can't figure out what this lump of crap is that's attacking him.
Initial damage report suggests not. Mistress, advise cannibalization of reusable parts.
Oh, nonsense, K9, nonsense. We're not going to turn you into scrap yet, are we, Romana?
I'm gonna say, this would be pretty fast to get a Mark III.
Well, at least it's not the Flappy Bird from the Greek story.
Well,
Let's take a look, shall we? Vivian, what are you doing? You're hurting me. Hurry. What's going on? What are you doing?
boy, poor Romana just has to deal with all the nonsense in these cliffhangers.
The first one being a literal cliffhanger.
Yeah, so I just want to make a quick note. This is mainly for the full-length people. So in the middle of that episode, you may have noticed I got up. I looked on my phone and saw that there was some sort of emergency alert. I didn't see what it was about. I don't think it was anything major. But I got up because I realized it stopped the recording.
Oh.
So I clicked the message off and restarted it. I'm hoping we didn't lose the piece, the part of the footage that had stopped. If so, there may be about 20 minutes of just a still image of the two of us. If not, I'm hoping it was alright, but I'll have to see when I edit this, so yeah. But we're good now, and so long as the state of Oklahoma doesn't send any more friggin' alerts, we should be okay. And I get that, it's fine, but I'm trying to work here, so. But we're all good now, so. Anywho. So yeah, so Vivian Faye is our villain, which I guess Vivian Faye, who used to go by a name Morgana, I guess that does sort of. I didn't even think about that until right then. It's like, oh, Morgana Le Fay, wasn't that it? So
Morgan Le Fay and Morgan.
Yeah. So that's an interesting little thing there.
Yeah, whoever the writer of this obviously knows quite a lot about druidic lore, so that's cool.
Yeah, so it's also interesting because you'd think that De Vries is going to be the bad guy, and then he just gets completely killed by a moving stone. And it's like, well, I guess that's that. So, and it's also interesting just to see how hurt K9 was. Like you never really see that. So. Hopefully he does get repaired because we just got this model. I hope we don't have to lose him and get a Mark III. So.
Oh no, stymied by a doorway.
Yes, and it's closing on us fast.
But it's impossible.
No, it isn't. We're standing still.
I meant a silicon-based life form is unknown, unheard of, impossible.
Maybe it doesn't realize that.
The pioneers used to drive those things for miles.
I know you're under considerable strain, Doctor, but please keep a grip on yourself. Is it dead, do you suppose?
How'd you kill a stone? Let's go and find its mister, shall we?
Well, I would question, can it swim? But I wouldn't think it could walk either.
I still don't understand where Romana and Vivian are.
Hyperspace.
Hyperspace?
Hyperspace is an extension to the special theory of relativity
K9's
provided by
better.
Einstein. Einstein's
No,
theory states that
K9. Don't overstrain your data banks. You're not fully recovered yet.
circuitry regeneration 75% completed.
Yes, well, didn't I give you some calculations to be getting on with?
Calculations cannot be completed until you have finished constructing the equipment.
All right. All right. Why don't you stop interrupting me and let me get on with it then? He's a terrible old gas bag.
I still don't understand about hyperspace.
Well, who does?
I do.
Oh, shut up, K9. No!
Good lord, they've landed on the Enterprise. It's a very extensive set.
Listen. Took skeleton in the
All
closet
trains
very
and feeders for
literally.
the Brighton line.
That means finding more blood.
Affirmative.
It means, going to kill somebody.
Unsuspecting campers.
This is why you don't go camping.
The seal on that door's a different colour from the rest.
First class in hyperspace.
What does it say?
I don't know, I can't read the script. Probably just says do not open, penalty £50.
Anything there?
Can't see.
It's
Well,
a
what should we
Dalek.
do?
Sparklies.
It is not permitted to touch the Megara.
I beg your pardon, I beg your pardon. What's the Megara?
We are the Megara. We are justice machines. I will undertake his defense.
I think you should advise your client that there is little likelihood of clemency.
I will so advise him. He has gone.
Further proof of guilt?
No matter. None can escape the Megara.
Okay.
Too late now, Doctor. I've destroyed your pitiful little machine. There's no way out for you. You're trapped in hyperspace. Forever.
Well, there were like 8 times where I thought the episode was going to end and it didn't. Well, yeah, I feel like the Megara are just going to be like, oh, you're guilty of way more than the Doctor.
Yeah.
Although I was kind of thinking at first, when the Doctor was nervous, like, oh, the Megara, they're justice machines. You know, they'll lay down the law on any criminal. I thought he was scared just because it's like, oh, I've done some things. I stole a TARDIS just to start with. So,
But the other one, the defense lawyer basically said, there are mitigating circumstances.
yeah. It sounds like there are mitigating circumstances, but they end up, passing sentence every time anyway.
Yeah.
So, but maybe this will be the exception. Maybe it's mitigating circumstances. Also, you've helped us catch a really worse criminal.
Yeah.
So, I'm just going to go with, they really try to explain hyperspace, and, I feel like the professor is just like, I'm just not quite sure I get it, but it's like, okay, it's another place that you can go to with this machine, that's Doctor Who. I mean, the whole thing with like the time distortion effect, if you go faster than the speed of light, I've never fully like understood that it's like, how does that work or anything? And it's like, I don't know. Look, science fiction, you've got the warp engine that goes faster, or you've got the TARDIS that doesn't even move, honestly. It just kind of fades out and in when it needs to. So, I don't know. But it is quite the switch, I will say, from, Druidic legends to hyperspace, millennia criminals,
Yes, this did not at all go where we thought it was going to go.
Yeah, so... But, I mean, it's still good. It's still interesting. So, just kind of odd. Oh, yeah, we still haven't figured out what is the segment of the key of time in this one.
Can you move?
Mobility impaired, but databanks recharged.
What are we going to do? Vivian smashed the machine.
Reconstruct it. With your help, it shouldn't be difficult.
With my help? I'm an archaeologist, not an engineer.
A
You
doctor,
will
not a
work under my
bricklayer.
direction. You may call your first witness.
I call as my first witness Miss Romana de Varatnalunda.
Me? But I'm not a witness.
The witness will take the stand and be sworn in.
Why does he have that?
He's got everything in his
The
coat.
witness will repeat the oath.
But I'm not a witness. I didn't see anything. I don't know anything.
I call Miss Fay.
No.
Once you have been called, you must appear. It is the law.
But I know nothing, Your Honor.
It is the law.
Oh, great.
Yikes.
I see what you mean about the galaxy.
I will take the oath.
Do you now say she was there?
No, I don't say that. I say that she will never tell us anything approaching the truth unless she is forced to. I don't think that she'll even tell us her real name, except from fear of the assessor.
Your Honors, may a mere humanoid offer a suggestion?
If you must.
If it will facilitate the proceedings, may I say that I have no objection to the assessor? Attach me to it if you wish. Ask me if I broke the seals. I will answer truthfully.
This is a really weird episode of Better Call Saul.
I have your interests at heart. I do not wish you to suffer unduly. I will plead with my colleague for a swift, painless death for you.
Biomechanical Chip and Dale.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Theft of the Great Seal of Diplos, for which the penalty is perpetual imprisonment. The sentence is to run consecutively. Have you anything to say before sentence is passed?
Really? Neither of those get you a sentence of death?
Oh, she's going to turn her into a stone.
If you let them do this to me, Doctor, you'll never find what you're looking for.
Oh, I wouldn't go as far as that. Excuse me, gentlemen. I think this belongs to me. Well, that's your business completed.
Not quite, Doctor.
What do you mean, not quite?
There is still the matter of your delayed execution.
Oh, I wouldn't bother about that if I were you. Bye-bye! Happy journey! I took the liberty of fixing the controls on their ship before we popped back here. It should give us a couple of 1,000 years grace. Come on, we can't stand around here. We've got things to do. Come along.
That needs to be an episode then when they come back and try to kill him again.
You could write a monograph about it.
Ah, yes, and make Edward Morgan look a fool.
Will you write everything that happened?
Certainly not. I do have my academic reputation to consider.
They keep it in the fridge.
Alrighty. And that's the halfway point.
Again, that did not go at all the way we thought it would.
No. That was a lot of legal stuff at the end. You don't expect that going into a druid story.
No.
But I mean, it's interesting. It's definitely when we talk about two stories that just kind of get mashed together. So, which we've technically seen that recently with the Vardans and the Santarans, and that's kind of the low end of the of that sort of example of two stories getting mashed together. But this one, it was just strange.
Now, the one thing, again, that I, as a director, would have done is somewhere. I mean, we kind of suspected Vivian, I think by the second episode.
Yeah.
But there was never any concentration on her little necklace.
Yeah.
You know, the doctor coming up at literally the last 2 minutes of the whole episode and just saying, "Oh, I'll take that." No, there should have been something just in the, and maybe there was, maybe we didn't notice it, but the first time we meet Vivian, or any time we see Vivian in those first 1 or 2 episodes, she needs to be just kind of, fumbling with it, doing something so that, again, there would be some foreshadowing, some clue as to where this was going.
Yeah, because it didn't even register that she had a necklace at all. So when he took it, it's like, oh yeah, the key of time. I guess that's the key of time. All right, well, we're off now. So, alrighty.
And we heard beware the Black Guardian, but still didn't see the Black Guardian.
Yeah. Again, it really does feel like they wrote 6 episodes, or at least a number of episodes this season, and then came up with the whole overarching story. But yeah, I don't know. It's a very strange thing. And I mean, I'm still curious if the White Guardian is actually the Black Guardian, and it's interesting, he apparently disguised himself as the Supreme. What did he say specifically? It was like the Supreme Chancellor of the Time Lords, right?
Something like that, yeah.
But, which is a weird thing, because we just had the Supreme Chancellor. It was Barusa. So, but then again, we also had, the first female on Gallifrey, Rodan, in that episode, and then immediately it's like, and here's another Time Lord. Here's Romana. So, I don't know. It's very odd. I'm just not sure when. But I mean, he's not the Supreme Chancellor. It is supposed to be Barusa. So I guess the context is that he disguised himself as Barusa to Romana. Then that has to be the only explanation. Yeah. So I don't know. But yeah, they did make such a big deal about beware the Black Guardian at the beginning of this, and again, there just wasn't anything. Unless they're setting up that at the end of this season they bring back the Megara to execute the Black Guardian. I guess there's no reason not to. So, okay. So the Doctor broke a seal, and that's punishable by death. But Vivian was a 4,000-year-old criminal who kept these justice machines trapped for 4,000 years. But that's not punishable by death. So I guess it begs the question is perpetual imprisonment, is that supposed to be worse than death?
It would be, theoretically, if her consciousness was imprisoned in the stone.
Yeah.
Where essentially you had to live throughout eternity knowing what you had done and never being able to escape. But simply terminating her, making her into a stone, she wouldn't know that she was imprisoned.
Yeah. So I guess that's the thing, is it supposed to be a fate worse than death? So I don't know. I guess that could be it, that she's just, her mind is still there, still conscious, but she's just trapped in that stone. I don't know. Eventually she'll stop thinking. I don't know. But yeah, so that was kind of weird, where it's like, oh, it's just perpetual imprisonment. It's like, you were about to kill this guy for nothing, And I did think, I was like, I know we have so many episodes left with Tom Baker. That would be hilarious, though, if he was executed and just regenerated. And it's like, well, we carried out the execution, Yep. So it's not our problem if you happen to change your entire body. So
there's double jeopardy. You can't execute him for the same crime twice.
Yeah. So yeah. And then, okay, so Vivian is doing all of this. What was the point of the cult then, with DeVries and I guess his wife
Martha? It seemed that it was only there to get blood.
Yeah.
For the stones. I mean, the stones of blood. So
yeah, which, to their credit, Stones of Blood, good name, that works. So, but yeah. But are we to assume, because it seemed that if they had sacrificed the Doctor, that would have been the first murder they had done. So what were they doing before that to give blood? Were they just,
I thought Martha said they had been sacrificing animals.
Okay.
But the Kaliak told DeVries that the Doctor was coming, and specifically to sacrifice him so that he wouldn't discover who she was. I mean, that's what I assumed.
Okay. And DeVries was, all ready to go in on it.
Yeah.
So then, I guess, once the Doctor escaped, she sent the Augury to deal with that. So it just didn't it didn't kill the Doctor. It just killed DeVries and Martha.
Yeah.
So, all right.
And all those other people in the cult ultimately have to be tracked down somewhere.
Yeah.
If they knew what was going on.
Yeah.
Although they did flee when the Doctor was not killed.
Yeah.
Now, sacrificing animals, I'm assuming there's a law in Great Britain against that. There it would be here in the United States.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it seemed like more of them, like Martha, would say, hey, wait a minute, I'm all in on, sacrificing a goat, because, that's biblical, but sacrificing a human being, that's just wrong. And then they would, they would be kind of off the hook for that.
That's when you grab your emergency bag, throw it in your car, and you move to a different town. Change your name, It's when you call up the vacuum cleaner guy from Breaking Bad. So, anyway, another thing that never came back. So, Romana gets pushed off the cliff, and it was apparently by the Doctor, but it seemed to be, I guess it was the Ogre in disguise that pushed her off the cliff. But then the Ogre never changed their form again and remained just rocks.
Yeah.
Which is the most, cumbersome enemy we've had. I understand that it's it's so strong, nothing can stand in its way. But at the same time, obviously, they're just these foam things that they have to try to, get through all these doors and such.
Now, visually speaking, again, and I don't know, I'm sure they could have done this, even in the 1970s, to see something more like Korg in the Thor movies, or the Thing in the Fantastic Four movies, something that's a little bit more humanoid, but yet still looks like a movable rock.
Yeah, and then they could have done a fade. You see just the normal rock, and it fades into being more humanoid.
Yeah,
but it seemed like at least it was either the Augury or it was Vivian who could change their appearance. I guess it must have been Vivian then, because she had the key of time, but she never referenced it either.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's this seems like something that was written in at the beginning for the two of them to say, so that you remember that the key of time is still a thing, but otherwise this is a story that doesn't involve it.
Why did she have it? Why was Calufrax?
Yeah,
and nobody knew that.
Yeah, Calufrax, and then the Jethric on Ribos.
Yeah.
So
none of these people know what they've got.
No, it's just sort of just some thing that they have.
It's like collecting the stones for the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah, I guess, which kind of, that sort of tracks, because in Marvel, originally it's the Tesseract, and it's only later that you figure out that, or Loki's scepter, it's only later that you find out that they're Infinity Stones. But they were also still very powerful objects. These seem to just be, everyday things that end up becoming this. I want to say that there's another story where they have something like that, just these everyday objects become this powerful thing, but I can't think of it. So, but yeah,
it's kind of a parallel in Temple of Doom. The three rocks, or however many rocks there were.
Yeah, just a bit. So yeah, so they never brought back that whole changing appearance thing. Let's see. K9 got hurt a bit during that, but seems to be alright, which is good. It's also interesting. It seems more like Romana was able to repair him. I'm sure the Doctor could, but it's interesting, that distinction, that she is obviously good enough to be able to do that. It is also one of those things that I think about, that it's because the two of them are incredibly brilliant because they're Time Lords. But then I remember that K9 is so brilliant, but he's not Time Lord technology.
Yeah.
He just is. This is just something you can get on, Space Amazon. So, and the Doctor did. He just happened. He just had a Mark II ready for when he needed it. So, it would be hilarious. I'm sure this is either the same model or just an upgraded model that they have for the episodes. it would be hilarious if in one episode they just had like 3 of them, you know? Like, if you just see just a bunch of, like, oh, we need to go search for somebody, and normally you send out the dogs. If you just see, like, 5 canines just, like, you know, combing this land, you know? So, yeah. Yeah, and then we went to hyperspace, and that was weird, but... Yeah, it is a very strange thing, especially because, you know, with the professor, you know, she said she's an archaeologist. She doesn't do more of that, you know, I don't want to say not scientific, but none of that, you know, stellar stuff, stellar science. So then to take that and go to the very opposite place of we're going on a ship which is in hyperspace, which is this, you know, theoretical dimension that can allow you to travel faster than light and stuff. It's like, all right, you were talking about druids. You know, like these don't exactly go together. Yeah, it's fine. It still worked. I still enjoyed the story, but it was just it's just one of those where it's a Doctor Who episode that sets itself, you know, firmly in this one, you know, type of story, and then completely abandons that in the second half. So, yeah. And I don't know why they do that, but only Doctor Who can do that, and it's weird. So. But yeah, so, and then we had, I mean, I really didn't write down a lot from the 4th episode because it was just, it was a trial and it was weird. And I do like though that he has a wig in case he needs it. And he also had random papers and at first I was looking and I was like, what are those? And then just as the scenes went on, it's like, oh, those are nothing, but it makes him look more like a lawyer. So...
and I have to say, the special effects for the Megara were much better than the, you know, invisible sparkly Bardans or whatever they were.
The weird, like, they clearly took a bunch of pieces of aluminum, or aluminium, if you want to call it that, and they just put it in front of a blue screen and then dangled it for 20 minutes. Yeah. And it's like, that works. That's an alien. So... Yeah, it's an interesting... It's a simple effect for the Megara, but it works out. So, and that was interesting. And I like that there is a distinction between them, and there is, you know, this dynamic of, you know, because one is the judge and the other is the, you know, defending lawyer. So, but either way, at the end, most likely they will always come to, you're going to be sentenced for your crime. Yeah. But you can figure something out. And somehow the Doctor was able to delay his execution by dragging Vivian in on it, and then they had to read her mind to realize who she was. So, and then yeah, just at the end, he just sends them off. It's like, I gave us a, you know, couple 1,000-year head start basically. So he's not off the hook from them at all. He's just, you know, he just has to be careful. You know, 10 seasons from now or so. I don't know. It would be hilarious if either they came back in Classic Who or if they came back in Modern Doctor Who. So they haven't in, 13 seasons, but that would just be a funny random thing to bring back. It's like, oh yes, they are trying me for this one thing and they're going to execute me. And it's like, well, what was the crime? I opened a door. Is that it? Yes. They're very peculiar about that. So
what kind of threw me off too there is because we're doing all this Celtic stuff. Megara was actually from the Hercules story back in ancient Greece. And had nothing to do with police and judge and jury and executioner. Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's just, it was a weird thing that we suddenly went to. And there is something about, like, I don't know, I guess just the sort of de-escalating of, we have this all-powerful Vivian Faye who is this, or trying to be this, Celtic goddess and, give all this ruin and stuff and kill the Doctor. And then just to kind of see her just sitting over there in the corner while this, like, trial is happening in space. It's like, boy, that's a real tone shift, So, I don't know. It was weird. I liked it, but it was a very weird episode.
Yeah, it was a mess. But, again, It was interesting to try to keep all the parts together, and I thought they did that fairly well. But yeah, you look at it and just go, from where it started to where it ended, that was totally unpredictable.
Yeah, so I don't know. They've all kind of been a bit weird this season. Like, we start off with, this strange, space Russians, but there's also a con man, but there's also this tyrant, and we're all trying to get this, this key, this, the Jethric. Then you've got this, it's a pirate planet, but it's not really, they're not really pirates per se. It's the one captain. There's also this queen, and the Meniads and stuff. And now you start off really strong. You've got this whole druid plot line and this a Stonehenge that's within England. But then it just goes to this trial in hyperspace with these justice machines, and it's like this season's kind of all over the place, despite the fact that it should have one thing that unifies it all together, but they barely utilize it. So now we honestly just have to take bets on like when does the Black Guardian show up, because theoretically we should have 3 more stories. So I'm guessing 2 more 4-parters, and then the last one will be the 6-parter. So at some point in one of these 3 stories, the Black Guardian has to show up, but I'm just not sure where now. So yeah. You got anything else?
I got nothing.
Alrighty.
What's up next?
Next up is the Androids of Tara. All right.
So we can expect this is set during the American Civil War on a plantation in Georgia run by Miss Scarlett O'Hara.
And androids.
Why not? Couldn't be any stranger than what we just watched.
I mean, if you set it up from the beginning that, hey, we're in whatever you said, and also there are androids, that's fine. It's the quick, shift. It's like the whiplash of suddenly we're on a hyperspace ship, So
now that means Tara, by the way, of course, is the setting for Gone with the Wind, the great novel and the movie. But Tara, if I recall, is also a place of legend in Ireland. So don't know if that makes, or if this is just a random name that they happen to choose.
Well, it'd be easier to film in Ireland, so I wouldn't put it past them. But yeah, we will have to figure that out next time. So, with all that being said, we're Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films, and we will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist for all of our Doctor Who classic reactions, as well as another playlist for all of my modern Doctor Who reactions if you want to go check those out. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.